How's it going, guys? So my name is Michael Reagan, and today we are going to be discussing operating leverage and how it affects managerial accounting and how it is used in managerial accounting, which can be found in Chapter 5 of your textbooks. So, operating leverage. And sorry about my bad handwriting. I know it's not the greatest ever. But to start off, to really understand operating leverage, we're going to define it for you. So the textbook defines operating leverage as a measure of how revenue growth translates into the growth of your operating income. So as a brief example for you, we're going to use coffee. Let's say similar to like a lemonade stand, we start our homemade coffee stand, because everyone loves coffee. So our little cup of coffee, and that's coffee. That's my coffee cup. Ignore it. I know it's really ugly. We sell this for, let's say, $6 a cup, because we're coffee and we can charge you whatever we want because we know you'll drink it. So we charge you $6 a cup, and then our variable cost to create this cup of coffee for you is only $3. So it only costs us $3 to make this, meaning our contribution margin, which is our revenue minus our variable cost, comes out to another $3. And then we discuss leverage, and our leverage is going to be represented by our fixed costs. And the higher our fixed costs are, the higher we're leveraged. So we'll say for this, we'll start up at-home business, our fixed cost is $50. So no matter how much coffee we sell, whether it's 1 cup or 200 cups, we're going to lose that $50. This is going to come into play later on. So that's our first example right there. Let's jump over to our second one. A little better. That's a better cup of coffee, right? Yeah. So now let's say we've become a international multi-conglomerate, billionaire, Forbes 500, blah 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 coffee company. We are now able to sell our coffee to you for, let's say, $8 a cup. And now that we've become a bigger company, we're more experienced, we're more efficient, we're able to produce more for less. So now our variable cost is actually only $2. And once again, our contribution margin, which is our revenue minus our variable costs, is now $6. And this right here isn't necessarily our profits, but it gets you an idea of how much we're going to make once we take everything else out. So then we got our fixed costs, and this is where becoming a higher leverage company comes into play. As you can see, with more leverage, we're making more, but then we also have a higher fixed cost. So instead of the $50 before, now we're going to say it costs us $500. We'll say $5,000 because that's a little bit more realistic for our coffee company. So right here, compared to our first example, which is a less leveraged company, we have really low fixed costs, a little higher variable costs, but then we also have a higher or a lower contribution margin. Sorry about that. So less leveraged companies are always going to have a lower contribution margin than a higher levered company would be. And our second example, we have higher fixed costs because now we have factories and sweatshops in which we produce our coffee. So we have a lot more workers to pay, right? And then our variable costs go down because we're more efficient, but then our contribution margin also goes up. However, at the same time, this means our fixed cost goes up, so we have to sell more coffee. Compared to this, our break-even point is completely different. Okay, so another way to represent this would be through a simple graph. So we're going to get rid of all this right here. And let's say that we've got our, this right here is going to be our first company. And this first company is going to be a less leveraged company. Here we go. Okay, so right here, our costs. Down here, sorry, not sales, but we have units. And we're going to switch it up some. This line right here represents our sales. So, as you remember earlier, the less leveraged company, they didn't make as much of a profit. Their contribution margins were a little bit smaller than a higher leveraged company. So that's going to be illustrated like so. This right here is going to represent how leveraged we are. Those are going to be our costs, our fixed costs. So let's say this little point is our break-even point. So it's BE point. And this is the point that we have to reach to make sure that we don't lose any money, but at the same time, we're not gaining any money. So this is the minimum amount that we have to make so we don't lose money. So with the less leveraged company, as you can see right here, this lower portion that I'm shading in is going to be how much we would lose if for some odd reason we weren't able to make this break-even point. At the same time, if we were able to surpass this break-even point, this is how much we would make. Small losses, but also small gains. Now on the other hand, let's go to our second company, and this is the higher leverage company. So same thing, we've got our units down here, we've got our costs right here, and then our sales right here. On the flip side though, as you recall, we had a higher fixed cost, so we were more leveraged. So now our line, instead of being that slim little one that we had before, is going to be up a little bit, and it's going to be a little bit different. And our break-even point is going to be a little bit higher. That's our BE point. So now, we definitely have to sell more. We have to, bring in more sales to reach that BE point, because if we don't reach the break-even point, we have much higher losses than before, but at the same time, if we are able to surpass that, then we have much higher sales at the same time. So all in all, the main thing about leverage is it is a little risky. You do run the risk with higher leverage companies of losing more, but main thing to take away, high risk equals high reward, but it also equals high loss, and vice versa. So low risk equals low loss and low rewards. So yeah, so all in all, that is the basic representation and the basic concepts behind operating leverage. Hope that helps.